What up, though, Detroit? Hello, world, and welcome again to another episode of the Detroit ByCycle Podcast. How y'all doing today?
What's up, Henry?
What's going on, Henry?
With
What's up,
me,
What's up, Bruno?
joining as always, the vocal tones of Mr. Bobby Brown, Bruno,
What's up,
and
guys?
myself, Henry Ford II. And hang on one second. Let's let this ride out for a minute.
Oh yeah. Y'all know what this is.
you know
Y'all don't
this.
know what this is yet.
Right, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn
You
today.
We want to give a special shout out to Substance, who provides all of our beats and our music for all of our episodes. You can find him on SoundCloud. Substance. Everybody needs, well, hip hop needs substance.
That's true.
Right about now, they do.
Yes. Some real stuff.
Like, everybody just fell off.
Yes.
So, here at Detroit ByCycle, as you know, we are all about the love, benefits, art, culture, events, and all the people we meet on bikes from the Detroit area and beyond. All right, Detroit and Detroit ByCycle listeners, today's guest, I think, is another hit out the park, another very special guest, another individual who, if you have ridden around the city utilizing any form of bike lane, whether protected or not, whether it's on its own greenway or it's on a shared road, you owe this gentleman some appreciation and at least a thank you. This guy I actually saw before I met doing my Palmer Park ride in its infancy. I was actually looking around the area to try to broaden my range for rides, and I was looking online to see if there were any already established bike lanes or trails that we could follow. And lo and behold, I find that Google is introducing Google Mapping at the time, and a local gentleman popped up and was doing his thing, creating 45 or so miles of bike trails in the city. And weeks later, I think at a neighborhood event or maybe a Palmer Park event, I ran into you and I told you that I saw you on the Google Map Maker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Todd Scott.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you.
Todd, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks for the introduction.
And you know what? Just for everybody out there listening, I want to thank you for them, for all that you have done.
Yes. Yes.
And just to give your direct title, I guess it would be the executive director of the Detroit Greenways Coalition.
That's correct.
Fantastic. Actually, based upon that, I want you to go into some more detail on what exactly you do and what your job entitles.
Sure. So I'll give a little background on
Please.
the Detroit Greenways Coalition. So this was maybe 14, 15 years ago. There's a lot of grant money available to build trails and bike lanes, but they don't pay 100%. Mm-hmm. They pay 75%, 80%. So a lot of communities didn't have money to match those funds. And so the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan created this Greenways initiative. They granted out millions of dollars to communities, and they went after these funds and built bike lanes and trails. And at the time, Detroit that was not a priority, right? Their mind was not into building trails, right?
No.
And so, but a lot of nonprofits around Detroit did. So we had groups like Detroit Eastside Community Collaborative, Midtown Detroit, Riverfront Conservancy. You know, they all got that money and started building trails. And then they were like, what did we get ourselves into, right? We got to buy insurance and we have to maintain these things because the city's not at the table. And so they created the Greenways Coalition to kind of solve these problems that everyone was having. And at the same time, get the city on board with biking and trails and all that. So it's really gone from that. And now it's, I mean, I joke that I made the Kool-Aid and the city drank it. And I put too much sugar in it, and they're going crazy. But so they're clawing back, and they're doing all this stuff that they should have been doing from originally, 15 years ago. And so we're now trying to figure out what's our role now that they're doing stuff that we used to do. So it's interesting and it's evolving. We definitely still have a big role to play. But yeah, anything involving non-motorized transportation, biking, walking, we're even dabbling with scooters a bit, whether it's trails, on-road, off-road, sidewalks, getting into stormwater too. As long as we're fixing up the roads, let's put in some stormwater features to handle that as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize all the infrastructure you have to deal with when you're doing new construction.
It's amazing. It's and the whole thing in the past is how cities would push back on doing bike lanes is they throw technical stuff at you because it is technical, and they say, well, we can't do this, because of this, and so you had to get smarter than them and figure out what those technical issues were. So when they say stuff to you, you can say, oh, no. Here's an example of it being done here, and the Fed signed off on it. So yeah, you can do it.
Oh, nice.
And so, once they realized that they didn't have the technical brush off, that's what they call it, then you have the ability to really make things happen.
Wow. Well, now, so along those lines, what's the hardest part when you are approaching the city on getting a project started?
Well, in the old days, we could kind of work with different neighborhood groups, and they would say what their priorities were. And so we'd go after grant funding and make it happen. And now the city has their own priorities, and it's coming down from the mayor. And so, we have to, we were trying to pursue another Greenway project this year, and the city came back and said, no, don't pursue that now.
Oh, wow.
So we held off. And there's reasons for that. We'll come around to getting that done. There's some other issues going on right now. So they have other greenways that they're trying to get done. So we're working with them on what's happening. But we often can make suggestions on things. And for example, the bike lanes in Palmer Park came about because I noticed that they were repaving the road. And I said, well, if you're repaving the road, you might as well put some paint down for bike lanes.
Right.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Only.
Because when you do it then, it doesn't cost much, right?
Yes.
And so they're like, oh, okay. And they didn't do it right the first time. They eliminated all the parking for other people who use the park. Oops. And then they came back and redesigned it differently. But, they have one of our roles now too is Detroit's got some amazing staff doing this design work and pushing for this stuff. And so my job, I feel sometimes, is just to keep them happy and keep them working for the city of Detroit and not leaving for Chicago or Denver. Because we have some real rock stars now.
Nice.
Now, are you like pivotal in integrating all the different Greenway projects, or does the city refer to you as to what should be done in this particular area? How does that all work together?
Yeah, they really respect our whole history, and they value that, and they know we've been around. We've been talking with bicyclists and runners and walkers and neighborhood groups for over 10 years now. So they respect that, and they know we have a lot of knowledge, and they try to incorporate our input into these projects as we go along. Sometimes things just pop up. The protected bike lanes on Trumbull, south of Warren. And one day I just riding on Trumbull. I'm like, what? Where did this? It's funny that when you think you're on top of everything as a bike advocacy guy, and all of a sudden protected bike lanes show up on a street you know nothing about.
Oh, wow.
But for the most part, yeah, we're involved in most everything and making sure it all connects up and also, one of our big roles is getting the bike clubs and the neighborhoods involved in these processes. So, like, we had a meeting last night for Grand River, and we had 5 or 6 bike club members there. So it's a chance to introduce them to MDOT, introduce them to the city, and the city can ask them directly, what do you think about these new bike lane designs we're doing?
Because they are who uses them.
Exactly.
Yes.
They are.
Now, dealing with the bike clubs and such, that's a nice way to break into the communities, right? Now, the effort eventually is to create these greenways that connect neighborhoods or go specific areas, or how would your design mind look at when you figure out where you want these greenways to go?
Well, we want our vision for our nonprofit is the entire city needs to be connected with greenways, so you can go everywhere, preferably in a safe way, nonstop travel for biking and walking. So we are working on a number of major projects that accomplish that. You know, it's kind of like the road system where you have major roads and you have minor roads and you have residential roads. Kind of looking at the same thing for trails too. So the major trails we're working on, you know, on the east side would be the Connor Creek Greenway.
Sure.
Okay.
Then you have the Joe Louis, which is a 31-mile loop in the middle.
Yeah, that's the one I'm waiting on.
Yeah, and then on the west side now, we're making tremendous progress with the Rouge River Greenway, although that probably won't be the name for it because there's already a bunch of Rouge River Greenways. Everyone's got a Rouge River Greenway, so we need a new name for it. But it would roughly run along the Rouge from Fort Street and the Rouge River up to 8 Mile.
Okay.
So that's kind of on the west end, and then you connect them all up east-west. You know, you got the River Walk, but you're gonna have some other trail connections too across there.
Sure. What do you think you're working on now, and what do you think that's going to be completed in our 2019?
Well, I think the big thing for this year, there's I see there's 4 projects. 3 of them are road projects. So we have protected bike lanes going in on McNichols up near Livernois.
U of D. Okay. Actually, there was a Palmer ride that you were actually hands on putting down bike lanes on Livernois that we just happened to take Livernois that day, and you were there doing your thing.
Yeah, that's funny. Those are pop-up bike lanes because, you know, the thing about, you know, the city, some people in the city wanted to put the bike lanes in, but there were a lot of cars traveling on Livernois.
Yes.
You know, but a lot of them are not traveling on this road because they want to stop at the Avenue of Fashion. They're just trying to get to 8 Mile.
That's it.
And they're in a hurry.
That's it.
And they're speeding. So, you know, we looked at the numbers like, wow, going down from 4 lanes to 2 lanes would be really, you know, it could cause some issues with cars backing up, cutting through the neighborhoods and all that. You don't want that.
Right.
So they said, well, let's try it. Let's just see what happens. And so they put those temporary ones out there, and it seemed to work okay. So it set the stage for getting permanent ones. I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Okay.
It may be under construction this year. I think it will be under construction this year, but it won't be finished right away.
But south, that's at 6 Mile is where
I think this is going to start around 7 or 6.5 or 7 and go up to 8 Mile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it goes down. They're getting rid of the median.
Yes.
The median will be gone, which
I remember when that median went in, and everybody that lived over there hated it so much. The business owners, the residents, nobody loved that median, and that was the Kwame era median.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hated the median more than they hated the bike lanes. So it's kind of good.
Yes,
it's like,
I'm glad the median is
we'll
going
take away
away.
the cover, but you got to live with the bike lanes.
That's
all right.
Yeah.
So the road would go down to 3 lanes, which it can handle, and and with nice bike lanes, and what it really needs is wide sidewalks. So they're going to really widen the sidewalks.
Yes.
So you can have outdoor cafes. And everything,
Yes.
You know.
Make the shopping more accessible.
Yes.
For people too.
You know, and one thing I'd mention too about bike lanes, people think it's all about biking, and it's not. You know, when those went in, those temporary ones, they measured the speeds of cars traveling on Livernois. Before they went in, the average speed was 40 miles an hour, with speeds hitting 70.
No.
Yeah. Now, are you going to put outdoor cafes on a street like that? No.
Right.
So when the bike lanes went in, the average speed was 30 miles an hour, which is the speed limit.
Yes.
And no one was going 70.
My goodness.
So, I mean, the bike lanes become not just for bikes, but it's a tool to get cars to go the speed limit.
Right.
And make it a nice, livable street that you want to stop, park, get out, and enjoy the shops.
In essence, it provides safety for everybody.
It does, absolutely. Yeah, and even pedestrians benefit from bike lanes because the road's narrower, so it's easier to cross, and there's also the added buffer between the moving cars and where people are walking, so they feel safer.
Nice. Now you said you were at 3 or 4 projects.
Oh yeah, so some other ones will be Kirchhoff's getting some streetscaping and some better bike lanes.
Okay.
The Grand River will be under construction from Southfield to Berg Road.
Nice.
And that current design it's going to be interesting. All 3 of these have 2-way protected bike lanes on one side of the street.
Okay.
So it's going to be a bit of a learning experience
Yeah.
for
For
drivers
everybody.
and bicyclists. Yeah, being on just one side of the street,
Follow the arrows, people. Follow the arrows.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest concern there. Then there's a couple trails going into. So there's the Fitzgerald Greenway going through the Fitzgerald neighborhood between UDM and Marygrove.
Cool.
So that should be out to bid, and then also hoping to get the Joseph Campo Greenway going this year, which is gonna run from the Riverwalk along. It'll be a bike lane along Joseph Campo, and then they're going to add a new trail going from Jefferson up to Larned, and then there's an existing trail that they're going to enhance, take you all the way up to Werner.
Nice.
So it's not going to be like a DeQuinter cut with a lot of people on it. It's going to be more like a downsize, like a minor, but it's going to be nice.
That's cool. That's cool.
So good. Things are still moving, which is always good.
Yeah, and of course, all summer long there will be meetings for the Joe Louis Greenway. The framework planning is going to be starting fairly soon, and so they want to get input from people on the trail. I think what's interesting about that trail is, initially that was a Public Works Department trail, and Public Works thinks about roads and that, and they think about just putting down asphalt. People are going to walk and bike on it. The planning department kind of stepped back and said, no, this is a tool to redevelop all these neighborhoods.
Sure.
This is like the Atlanta Beltline. We could expand parks along the way, encourage, urban farming, doing
More
all
businesses.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Tying in with businesses, economic development. And so the framework planning is really kind of a chance to step back and think about the much bigger picture of just, much more than just a trail for biking and walking.
Sure, man.
It's amazing, people.
It is.
Things are coming. Things are coming.
Now, speaking of the people, what can we do to help you and the Greenways Coalition move things forward faster?
We could always use donations.
Okay.
We do an end of the year donation campaign, but we also have one on our website. And even if you could just follow us on Facebook or Twitter and keep up with things, if you could attend public meetings, I can tell you that people who don't like bike lanes always show up. And so it's always good to have people there who actually live in that neighborhood and will use them. It doesn't take a lot of people. It's not when they have these public meetings, it's not a vote of, how many people can get into the meeting on your side. It's really, you have to have some compelling people there. If you just have a few people there who say, I don't own a car and this is how I get around and I feel much safer. So that is very compelling.
It's a question of quality over quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All it takes, if it takes a young kid saying, "I want to ride my bike to school."
Okay.
I mean, how do you say to people,
Right.
"I want to speed on your road"? Speeding on the road versus kids getting to school. Right.
And that's important too, to make sure those things are connected, so it's visible for those vehicle drivers can see. Well, this is why people enjoy it, because you can get from A to B and not have to go on public surface roads too. So.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I think we need to do a better job telling the story of these bike lanes, and the people who use them and the stories behind them. I mean, some of the bike club members have, really just lost weight, gotten healthier, turned their lives around. Maybe people were living more isolated lives before, and now they're all on Facebook and, working with clubs all around the country, traveling to Vegas for that.
Exactly.
OBC. So it's really totally expanded and changed their lives and their view of the city. It's invaluable.
It opens.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street.
Yeah.
That bikes change your life, and
In many ways.
your life is going to change a bike somehow. Like, that's just how it works.
Absolutely.
There's a definite energy there.
So we'll definitely share your link on our information as well, where you can go donate. And you also indicate where community meetings are, where you will be, where there's any Greenway discussion. It's always shared on there too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some East Jefferson discussions coming up too. We could use some support there, and even some I-375 discussions coming up. That road is coming to the end of its life.
Yes.
And there's going to be some biking improvements related to that. So we'd love to have some more voices there.
Please.
That building a ribbon around every city was not the way to do.
It was
not the way to do
No,
that. It was not.
No.
No. In fact, MDOT wanted to actually expand it down to the Riverwalk and put a U-turn at the end. Yes, they actually had a plan. It was an interstate with a cul-de-sac where you could do the turn at the end and come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably
So
around the Renaissance, maybe?
it was to help people get to the Renaissance Center.
Man.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Things have changed.
Yeah, that's
Things
great.
have changed.
Yeah, definitely for the better. And thanks for being a part of that vehicle of that change. We really
Sure.
do appreciate you.
Before you get out of here, we've got our rapid fire section that we give all of our in-studio guests. And these are short questions that just require a short answer.
It's like a Rorschach test for words.
Describe your first bike.
My second bike?
We can go
My
second.
first bike was the department store bike. I don't want to give it that.
Yeah, we're
There we
not,
go.
no shout outs.
I had a yellow Schwinn Stingray.
Fantastic.
Was it the 5-speed?
No, it was a 3-speed. It had a 3-speed shifter on the top too.
Yeah.
Stick,
And it had a slick. Did it have a slick in the
Oh, yeah.
back?
Oh, yeah.
Banana seat.
I love that bike.
Yeah.
And it was totally Pee Wee Herman'd out.
No, yeah, I couldn't afford that.
Now, you definitely help with all of our greenways, and you are definitely a rider. What's your favorite ride?
I could get in trouble saying that. I just whatever ride I'm on, man. I think there's those moments where you have to stop and think about what's going on and how lucky you are to be in it, and those are great moments.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was nice.
Yeah,
it was a good way to do that. I wondered how he was going to answer that, actually. The one up my driveway, I thought might be his answer.
So you've been with the Greenways 11, 12 years now?
Yeah, 11.
Were you always into biking, or if not, what brought you back into biking?
Well, what's funny is I had this realization a few years ago that when I was a kid with my Schwinn, I used to take chalk and create trails on our driveway and then ride around. Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Why didn't I think?
You were designing greenways before
Yeah.
you knew it.
Yeah. But then
They were chalkways.
But I disappeared and got into software development and software engineering. So then I started getting fat. So I started getting back into biking, and then
Right on.
So
Describe your blank.
oh my blank.
Whatever that is.
I'm blanking on that one.
Okay.
That works.
That works
Yeah.
too, yeah.
I can tell. I'll describe something. It's my bike workshop, which is just a disgrace right now. Parts everywhere. It's just a mess. I got to get it together.
It's winter.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
winter.
It was
Take it.
summer, and it was not good in the summer either, man. There's just if you back in the day, I was really into biking and competing and all that. So I got all this stuff. It's like, do I really need
Right.
zip carbon wheels now with tubular tires? I'm never going to glue tires on again.
Right.
What are these parts? I got to get rid of them.
Right. They could use them at the track. I know that.
Yeah, I know.
That's a place they can glue them on. That's a place I know where you can use a glue on. Other than that, it's not really good for the street.
No.
All right. Lastly, one wish for Detroit.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting when the rest of the world finds out about Detroit. So I don't think I'm ready to wish that the world discovers Detroit yet.
Okay.
Because I want to be so far ahead of where their expectations are, so that when they see the biking here,
Sure.
they're going to feel bad that they ignored us
out.
for so long, or they dissed us. Or like People for Bikes rated us the 145th best city in the country, or Bicycling Magazine, we're not in their top 50. I want them to see this and go, we
cool.
really screwed up.
It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
They're sleeping on us.
Sleep.
Yeah. That's a Detroit
They
thing.
real
though.
sleep.
That's a Detroit thing. though.
really
They
is.
sleep on
Absolutely
us.
is.
They're not fake
Yeah.
sleep. They're real sleep.
right.
Well, great. Man, thanks again for your time. If you have the time, we'd welcome you to hang out with us the rest of the show.
Sure.
We could use your input, I'm sure.
Right. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Well, great. But thank you for what you do for our Detroit Greenways, and hopefully people get out there, show your support, get out to these meetings, and make what we've got going on here better.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Todd Scott.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, folks, y'all know we're out here. Y'all know where to reach us. We'll have links to interviews we talked about. We had Todd Scott on today. You can check us out on Instagram. We'll have some pictures, things, bike lanes, the Detroit Greenway Coalition links will be in our show notes as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's Detroit ByCycle, all one word, ByCycle, y'all.
Get at us. We want to hear from you.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
really. Like it, follow us.
Questions, comments,
questions
concerns.
and comments, because we're all about trying to make this a better podcast for all of us.
If you want to step to the mic,
Oh, hey, yeah, right.
Yes, yes.
Come
us
on up.
know.
Yeah, right.
Today, Bruno,
Hey, what's going on, guys?
in the streets as always.
Oh yeah, I was out on Wayne State's campus just recently, and
Who'd you go see?
dude, I rolled up on Bikes and Coffee. It's on
Oh, my boy.
your boy Ben Kehoe.
Yeah.
Right? They got caffeine and bikes, man.
Two
It's
things.
crazy.
Two things we love.
Yeah, it's great. It's on Putnam. It's right across from the fields in Wayne State where the critical mass usually meets.
Yes, sir.
Right there. And it's 1521 Putnam. So if you're looking for it on a map, that's where you'd find it. I had a great time, and I hope you enjoy the interview.
Check it out.
So we'd like to welcome Ben Kehoe. He's the owner and operator of Bikes and Coffee, located at 1521 Putnam. That's one block west of Trumbull, sort of between Warren and 94, crossing that field where the critical mass people meet all the time. He's got a shop here. It's amazing. It's bikes and it's coffee. It's half bikes and it's half coffee. So without further ado, Ben, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bruno.
Hey, it's all good, man. I just, with the few times I've been in here, I've really been amazed by what's going on and how far you guys have come. Tell us a story about, like, how did you end up here?
So I took a Build Institute class, small business class, and met someone, introduced me to this space. So one of my first jobs was as a bike mechanic, and I've wanted to work in the industry ever since. And Detroit's doing some pretty cool bike stuff. Decided this was the time. Took the class, met the individual, found the spot, and here we are.
Wow, it wasn't overnight.
It was not overnight.
Yeah, please tell people about the journey that got you here.
4 or 5 years, and at 13 is when I decided I wanted to work in the industry for life, and here we are. Committed to the idea 5 years ago. 4 years ago, found the space. 3 years ago, signed a letter of intent to lease. 2 years, signed a lease. A year and a half later of renovations, city stuff. Aren't breaking my arm. It wasn't an easy thing, but now here we are, fully operating and about to hit this 2019 bike season.
Yeah, it's an exciting season coming up. I've been around and been talking to a lot of people, just in riding and in promoting the show and stuff. And there's a lot going to be going on this year. There's a lot of people got really big plans for the upcoming year. Well, all right, so Ben, what was your introduction to cycling?
Cycling in the purest form. I was a 3-year-old on a tricycle or something, and turns into bike riding. And then I was 13, needed a job, and there was a bike shop a mile and a half from my house, and I loved riding bikes, doing BMX or jumping off the curbs, whatever. So parents were like, go try to get a job. There, I got a job, got to work, they're like, go get a work permit. Went up and got a work permit from the city, got the job, hung out for 2 summers building bikes and riding bikes and selling bikes, and then
been on one ever since?
Yeah.
For me, I had to take a break. I did this adult thing. Like, I was a kid. As soon as I got my driver's license, and I kind of put the bike up for a minute.
I did it too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so I came back, about 30 years ago. So that's cool. So what's one tip you would give for a person looking to get into a bicycle or get on their bike?
Well, so, there's something here at Bikes and Coffee. We're focusing on building bikes proper, and we work with a couple different bike fitters in the area. Jessica Bradish, she works out of Sick Transit. It's a shop out in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Bike Fit, Me is her business. And so you spend couple $100 on learning a ton about your actual body, where your sit bones are,
right.
How long your legs are, what kind of riding position you want to be in, and then you can build a bike. You don't have to start that way. Go to Craigslist, hop on a bike, figure it out.
Right.
Just ride a bike. But if you're going to spend some money on something, invest in yourself, figure out what fits, and go from there.
Right. It's like getting your shoe for your foot in one of those like Babcock devices.
Yeah, exactly.
Like know what you're working with.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice. So what's your favorite place to ride around here in Detroit?
Detroit proper. Doing a lap around the island never gets old. you got a headwind on the calmest day of the year.
Right. And sometimes a headwind on both days.
On both ways. Yeah, exactly. Wind's just swirling around that place. But West Parkway, Outer Drive, all over there is super nice.
Between where and where specifically?
South of 96, north of Michigan Ave. You can go run into behind Henry Ford Community College, all that. So you're out of Detroit for a minute there, but then you get back in.
Yeah, and just come back on Outer Drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's beautiful. What are some unique items in your shop? I mean, what is it that's going to draw people in here?
So we're a bike shop, but we're a full coffee shop. Espresso bar, pour over bar, easy grab and go foods, and that we're ramping up, and we're going to be a cafe. So.
Yeah, it really does look exciting. Yeah, there's you can see that there's a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to this. And then when you read the story about how long it's taken you to get here to achieve this, you're here. You're not leaving.
No, we're not leaving. That's for sure.
Yeah,
no,
we're too much
super
energy.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Really, we've been open 90 days. We now see what our customer base wants.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a very fast learning curve these 90 days, and it's cool to now be able to just make some changes and accommodate.
Right, as opposed to this is my dream, I'm going to run it the way I do it, and and customers be damned. Right, yeah. You're really catering to what they want.
Yeah, I want to be a bike shop that provides service and accessories, and that's really easy to do. And then now we have this whole space that we can fill with people and good drinks and food and events and stuff.
I've always been impressed every time I've been in here. The few times that I've been in, I've been really impressed. All right, so I'd like to wrap up by thanking you and know if there's anything people need to know about what's happening in the future.
Man,
what's on your schedule? You got a ride coming out of here?
Nothing specific right now, but we're working on a cross series. We want to do some cross bike, some cross racing.
Okay, cycle cross racing.
Yeah, and as soon as the weather breaks, we'll be doing so many shop rides.
Okay. And you just let us know what they are. We'd love to post them for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on a schedule, and as soon as we have that, we'll have a digital calendar. We do monthly art shows here, and then once the weather breaks again. We've only been open 3 months, so it's so cool to just start getting this programming out there. And
the art shows sound exciting. What are those? How does that work?
So the first weekend of every month, we're trying to get a new artist in, and we're booked basically till June now. Artist comes, we do an opening show Friday or Saturday that first weekend, and then their art hangs for a month, depending on the artist.
Like a resident artist for a month.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So our walls are operating like a gallery.
Wow, it's so exciting. It's really, it embraces a lot of what Detroit's about, and what this program is really trying to hope to do is to spread, culture and food and coffee and bikes and
It's one of the coolest places I've been.
Yeah.
And there's just not even my shop, Detroit. The people, the creators, everything that's happening down here, and now we've got a venue to help showcase it. And in the process of opening this, the 5 years that I've been here, I've met so many talented people.
Oh yeah, the city is insane with this talent right now. It's just a talent-rich environment right now. And I want to interview as much of it as I can. Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for letting me start. Having me. To come down here. Again, Ben Kehoe of Bikes and Coffee, 1521 Putnam. Come on down and get your chain worked on and your bike worked on, and get some coffee.
Mention this podcast, and we'll give you 10% off your drink.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's our first plug, guys. Our first plug. 10% off. You can't beat that. Thanks.
So that was me and Ben out here talking about his dreams and making coffee and bikes a thing in Detroit. He's going to be really successful. And, it popped up 90 days ago. It opened 90 days ago. But, I mean, he really took about 4 years to get that together between permits and tearing it out and getting, access permits to do stuff inside the building. So I mean, this is a real dream for this guy. This is not real. The struggle was real. So if you can support a brother, I really
please
make an effort to get over there.
Local bike shops.
Yeah, local bike shops, man. You can get some air and some espresso.
And he mentioned a little discount, so make sure y'all pay attention to that too.
Go
over there and get your basic Bob latte
for 10% off if you mention the podcast.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks for the plug. So, hey, what's up, Bobby? What's happening in the calendar?
Well, we got the ByCycle Calendar out here.
let us know.
We got Monday night's Metropolis ride. You can definitely look for more info on their Facebook or website for details and info. You have Bike Dearborn on Wednesdays, along with the Hub ride on Wednesdays, and that info can be found also on Facebook or their website, as well as in our show notes. On Thursdays, you still have the Marauders. They are meeting at night. So if you want to ride in the midnight lights, go ride with the Marauders. And February 15th, 16th, the Lexus Velodrome has their bike show and races going on. So definitely go support Dale Hughes and those guys and gals at the Lexus Velodrome for the bike show and bike races.
I think at that show, too, there are going to be human-powered vehicles on the track.
Correct.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Speeds of up to 40 plus.
I think. I believe
you might want to go get.
I believe I saw one going around, and it was going about 40 miles an hour.
So,
I actually saw it. So
that's a sight to see.
It is something to see.
Yes,
in those tight corners. It was exciting.
45 degrees.
I believe it's 50 degrees.
That's
50
right.
That's
right. Dale corrected us. 50 degrees.
It's 50 in the end.
So yeah, go check that out. I will probably be there.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
just to see what happens, man. Just to see.
That's the ByCycle Calendar going on for the next couple of weeks, y'all. So definitely go check some of those things out. If you need more info, like we said before, please check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, our website soon to come, Detroit ByCycle. All one word, ByCycle, y'all.
Thanks for keeping us up on things, Bobby. I appreciate
no
that,
problem, man.
Always on time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's always on time.
All right, so this week, y'all, we have our three things segment, and we will be talking about our movies, bike movies that we like. So we all have one bike movie that we picked out that we
got a special guest for this three things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So Todd Scott is still hanging in with us, right. And he's going to mention his movie as well. And you know what? We'll lead it off with him.
All right. Well, I had some time to think about it, and I think I'm going to go with A Sunday in Hell.
It's a great movie. The 76 Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah,
say
less, man.
Dusty.
Now, you do have to be kind of awake because it gets a little, same over and over again. But yeah, it's a great finish and it's exciting.
Cobblestone.
Right.
It's real.
It shows you the pain involved.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the angles are really cool in that movie. Like that was the first time I'd ever seen like a camera attached to a bike,
right.
like somebody on a motorcycle. That style, that action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
And you can look at all the old bikes too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And they go by and you're like, I know that bike. I know that bike.
So right. Bruno, what you got for us? What was your movie?
You know what? I had to go with a classic, man. I had to go with The Bicycle Thief. It's an Italian film made in 1948.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that one.
Okay. You have to see it, man. It's on that list of like top 50 movies you have to see. The storyline is great. It's about a guy named Antonio. He's an out-of-work laborer in post-war Italy. The movie is filmed in Rome. None of the people in it are real actors. They're all just regular people, which was part of the realism movement in Italy at the time.
Nice.
Because they were trying to get away from those Cecil B. DeMille, epic classics that Benito Mussolini was making. So, and all those actors that were in them, they were shunned after the war. They're like, no.
Right.
So it's a great movie. So this guy,
sad car don't mean nothing.
Right. And my man finally gets a job putting up movie posters. Right. This is going to be his job. He's like finally got a job, and he has to have a bike. So his wife takes all their linen and her dowry money, and they go to the pawn shop and get his bike out of hock. And then he goes and he's got this job and he's proud and he's got a son and his son's happy. And so he goes to his first day of work and he gets his bike robbed.
Oh.
And the whole movie is then predicated about, the trials and tribulations this guy goes through to get his bike back.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And at the end, it's tragic because it's like, I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to ruin
yeah,
it because at the end it's an emotional movie and the filming of it is just incredible. I'm I'm gonna just give you some of the statistics so you can like maybe appreciate this a little bit more. One of the reasons I liked it was banned. It didn't actually pass the U.S. film industry's censorship. You know, like they didn't, the film industry, because there's a scene in it where his son tries to pee on a wall. And then there's another scene where the guy goes into a brothel. You know what I mean? The kid had to go. You know what I'm saying? The kid had to go. I like it also because it's the heroes in American film during that time were kings and queens and adventurers. They were swashbucklers and cowboys.
Sure.
And this is really makes just a regular working class person the hero of the movie, which is really cool.
You're selling it.
Oh, hey, wait, I'm not done. This movie is so influential. It influenced Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, and John Cassavetes.
Listen up, people.
I mean, that's how influential this movie has been back in our past. Burton used the same premise to make Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You know, a bike stolen, and then the rest of the movie is him getting it back. I mean, a little bit weirder.
Makes sense.
So, and it did win an Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film before there was even a category for it. They had to invent a category for it. The movie was so good. Wow. So, I'm giving it, a couple of thumbs up.
Okay.
Or how we doing that? How we doing that?
A couple of spokes up.
Yeah. A couple of spokes up. There we go.
So, Henry, what you got for us this week?
All right, man, I can't never do nothing right. I do have a movie, but I kind of want to flip it a little bit too.
Okay.
So it took me a while to actually come up with this selection, but it was a no-brainer when it finally hit me. It's The Line of Sight, which is a Lucas Brunel film.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. It's based on bike messengers out of New York that have this huge race a couple times a year. And there's no actors. It's more of a documentary. These are all real people being filmed on their day life, culminating up to this huge race. Now, the most interesting part of this film is the suspense that Lucas takes you on, because not only is he producing it, he's also filming it, because he's got cameras on his helmet. So he has the skill, the cojones, the nuts.
Right.
Stronger and larger, in my opinion, than the people he's filming, because if you see this film, these racers are doing anything they can to get to the next stop. And that means going against traffic, cutting lanes, going through red lights. Well, Lucas, who's filming, is following.
Right. And he's not the professional cyclist.
He's not the professional cyclist.
Right. He's stepping up. He stepped up his game.
He stepped up.
Yeah, to get that shot.
So, exactly. So, I think he is the real star of his own produced movie, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But on the flip side of things, I'm really into all the local films, air quotes, that Detroit is getting with all of the cyclists that's been going on the last 5 years too. So
right.
I also want to throw it up to all the covers that Detroit is getting with the cycling culture for the last 5 or 10 years. So
right.
Yep.
Throw that out there too.
Right. That's your A and A one?
Yeah.
Got you. So what's up, Bobby? What's it? Come on, Bobby.
One I seen very recently, which jumped straight to the top for me, was Icarus on Netflix, the doping scandal documentary. The director, Brian Fogel, I believe, also is a cyclist and wanted to see, would doping help him.
Oh.
But it took a drastic turn in the middle that I don't want to give away. I would tell people to go see this movie.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It is a great movie. It is a very good movie. And a lot of us, I think, know the story of, the doping scandals in cycling, but you don't know the behind the scenes, the details. And even himself didn't know, and he stumbled upon something during his own journey,
Right.
which surprised everybody, I think.
Right. The test rigging.
Yeah. I mean, the blatant, like, yes, we are doing this. And
Right. And what are you going to do to stop us?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like literally, what are you going to do to stop
But the scandal runs deep, and it ran probably all the way to the top. But I would suggest anybody to definitely check out Icarus. And on a side note, what Henry said, you know, check out the local Detroit people who are filming cycling things around here.
There's some good
stuff out
visuals
there.
out there,
There's
yeah.
some
Right.
good stuff out there.
Right. A lot of creativity.
A lot of creativity in the city. And hopefully, like Todd Scott says, we keep it secret for as long as possible.
Yeah,
we can enjoy it.
We're just
Right?
gonna lay it out there. And
Yeah.
they're just gonna go, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
It's like a royal flush. You just lay it out there. Nothing you can do. We won.
Trying to draw into an inside straight. Yeah.
Not happening.
Not happening.
Well, that's our three things. Movies to check out. It's cold out there if you don't want to ride, but you're doing your exercise still.
You could
'cause
Netflix and chill with one of those movies.
That's true. That is true.
if you got the right one.
You got the right
one.
Frankly, line of sight, there's no chill.
There's no chill.
I'm at
probably
the edge of my
agree.
seat the
There's
whole film.
There's a little chill, but then
Right.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Right. That's beautiful.
All right, so real quick, everybody. My people, the people at Detroit Bikes, were really excited about us and the Detroit ByCycle podcast. They really wanted to show some love to us and to all of our listeners locally and throw out a crazy deal.
What?
So at our store downtown, Capitol Park, they are doing 2-for-1 specials.
Uh-oh.
What?
So you can buy any U.S. manufactured A-type or B-type from 2018 or older and get a free C-type with that.
Wow.
I would
You can buy
That's a whole right. You and your
A-type
right.
or B-type
y'all open right now?
made
Time
here
y'all close.
on these soils of Detroit
Right.
and get a C-type for
Stop
free.
recording the show to go get me.
Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Package deal for $750, 2
Wow.
bikes.
It's not
That's
bad.
only going to be good at our store if you talk to Brandon or Naheem at our store downtown.
Okay, so Brandon and Naheem are the plug.
Detroit
Got
Bikes Store, downtown Capitol Park, available between the 15th of February through the 15th of March only.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's really nice, man.
So if you are interested, maybe get your loved one
Hey, it's nothing says I love you like
a bike.
like a bike.
So go pick one up.
I love
Or
you so
two.
much I bought a bike.
I bought you a
Thanks
bike.
to Detroit Bikes for that.
Dang.
Thank you, Detroit Bikes.
Yeah, thank you.
And just so you know, and everybody knows, we are all about the love, benefit, arts, culture, events, and the people we meet on bikes from the Detroit area and beyond.